I think what the funny thing about him and the Panama Canal is this is going to be one, like the start of just an array of nonsense that he says that's strategic, but also it's bombastic for the sake of being bombastic, like taking a market demand and then trying to either resist it by using bombastic rhetoric or make a path towards it, like the negotiation for it being easier by using this bombastic language. I think I can give two examples of this, but the first one, obviously, this idea that China is operating with the Panama Canal. I think Trump's brain operates in the place where every foreign investment by China is like some secret plot to conquer the world. And I feel like this type of rhetoric really outdoes itself because the reality is that Panama has controlled the canal since 1999, but that is, I guess, too boring for him. Instead, we're getting this Cold War fan fiction about China turning the canal into some kind of Bond villain lair. So, sure, why not? But the funniest part about this claim is how perfectly it reflects the classic American empire insecurity about no longer being, the global hall monitor. For, you know, decades, the US has treated the Panama Canal like its personal toll booth. We dug it, we controlled it. And when Panama wanted it back, we acted like they were ungrateful for our colonial charity. Now, as Trump thinks, like Panama has the nerve to manage their own trade routes and the horrible thought of letting Chinese companies invest in their infrastructure. Like, clearly to Trump, this is some type of act of war. And I think that Trump and his buddies can't really stand China, especially how, in a way that it's like China is just doing what the US has done for centuries, just without invasions. Like Hutchinson Ports runs a couple of terminals, Landbridge Group bought a port, oh no, foreign trade. It's almost like Panama, a sovereign country, is making deals to improve their economy, which I guess to Trump is scandalous. But because those deals involve China, it suddenly becomes a part of some shadowy master plan. Never mind that China isn't operating the canal and doesn't control a single lock, but for Trump, details like actual facts don't get in the way of a good fear mongering session. And again, don't skip the US history here. For years, the US ran the Panama Canal like it was its own backyard pool. When Panama asked for it back, the US grumbled and acted like it was charity work to return something that they basically stole in the first place. Now Trump is out here accusing China of like imperial overreach. It's like this guy who ruined every house party complaining when someone else throws one. It's very much classic projection. The real issue here isn't Chinese investment, it's the US and their instability to handle not being the only game in town anymore. I think China's Belt and Road Initiative has many countries lining up to build ports, railways, and superhighways, actual infrastructure, not just military bases and depth traps like the US is doing globally. So, the US offers lectures about freedom and drone strikes and a bad trade deal. If you're a small country, what offer sounds better? Of course, this claim about Trump's threats towards the Panama Canal, it's not about Panama, it's not about the canal. It's about stoking a trade war with China. And, if you convince enough people that China is out there gobbling up the world's main core trade routes, you can justify anything: sanctions, tariffs, maybe even another proxy war. And that's the end game here, is to keep the American empire relevant and keep the threat chugging along by framing every foreign investment as some type of threat to American power. And obviously, the irony, of course, here is that this approach only really pushes countries closer to China. So here we are, Trump yelling about the canal, Panama rolling its eyes, and China quietly building bridges, both literally and figuratively, while the US is still stuck in the same old playbook, too scared of a multipolar global power system to really figure out how to compete in it.